What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tino here, as we are here today, as for our regularly scheduled programming as we've had here now for 27 weeks of the SouthSide Boys, guys. The season is winding down. There's only a few more weeks left of the season, unless you're going to the playoffs, and the White Sox definitely aren't going to the playoffs. So, we got a little things to talk about, or little things. We got a few things to talk about White Sox. We're going to talk a little bit about NFL. There is a Thursday night football game tonight. We're going to talk about, I do see all you guys in the chat talking about the releases. I'll mention some of the releases and everything like that. But like I said, we'll be doing a separate video and short on that, so then you guys can look at that. But today, we're going to talk a little baseball and just try to enjoy ourselves for the last few weeks. So let's get the co-host in here. Let's get Justin in here. Justin, how you doing?
What's up, Tino?
And then we got Deech. Deech, how you doing? And it says, Deech is in the house. When do playoffs tickets go on sale? I don't know, bro. You getting them? Are you going to Baltimore?
No, I did see this twist. I think Dan Hayes tweeted out that the Twins pre-sale was today. And
lame.
Yeah.
What, their first round exit?
They're going to get knocked in the first round. I don't care who they play. I mean, they're just not. They have all these guys getting hurt now. Correa's out. There's a ton of them that have all these leg issues and stuff now.
Don't even get me started on injuries, bro. I lost half my team this week between football, bro. I can't even stand it between Eckler and Barkley and Ayuk that's out tonight, and I'm over it. I'm done. I quit.
But, yeah, what the fuck happened to Ayuk? Did he get hurt on Sunday?
I guess so. I guess he hurt his shoulder. He came in, he scored touchdowns, and then I thought he was fine, but apparently he isn't. I don't know. So it's probably because it's the Thursday night game is in reality what it I think if they played on Sunday, they probably would have him play. But I don't know. It really messes me up because, yeah. Anyway. We'll talk more about football in a little bit. Let's get through this White Sox nonsense because, as you guys know, there's really not too much to talk about. I honestly, for Deech, who did the Sox play before the Nationals? I low-key forgot. Was it the Royals? No.
Was it Minnesota?
It might have been.
This is how bad it's been. I forgot.
I told you guys the other day I got the game start notification or starting soon. And I have the two starting pitchers, and I didn't even know which one was starting for the White Sox. I don't know who it was. I can't remember what night it was. It was
the dude that was on the Tigers, the Urias guy.
Yeah, Urias. Yeah, I'm like, what? I don't even know which one of these guys is pitching for the Sox.
That's why I texted you that a week or two ago. I'm like, isn't this the guy that we saw earlier this season on the Tigers or the Marlins? I swear, I'm like, we saw this guy before. So yeah, it was the Twins. And as usual, we went 2-4. I think we've literally had 2 weeks where we've had a winning week. So it's not been very fun at all. But yeah, they lost to the Twins. I was just hoping they were going to beat the Twins because it's always fun to beat the Twins. And watching them play baseball against the Nationals was just disgusting. I will say this though, best thing about this week was Mike Clevenger going out there and throwing a complete game, and he very well has proven, and we've talked about it. He needs to come back just to have some type of stability in the rotation and everything. If he pitches like this, I mean, hey, give him.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I love all the shit that's come out of the clubhouse this year, and you haven't heard his name mentioned once. And there are still right? people on Twitter. Well, he's a problem. He's a distract. All this stuff in the clubhouse. And you're not in there. You don't know more. You're directly refuting the people who directly refute the reports that came out from Jesse Rogers about how Eloy doesn't care and Moncada doesn't care. And then, I was told Moncada doesn't care. Yeah, you were told that from legitimate sources, dumbass. You're sorry that your narrative and your fandom and you root for this team like you're a fucking child doesn't fit what the reality is. And Clevenger is kind of the same situation. I'm not going to get on this. I don't love Clevenger. It's not like that, but it's I think
he does his job. He goes out there
their problems is the bottom line.
And again, like we've talked about in the spring training, that's what everybody was worried about was all the issues that he was having. And like you just said, we haven't heard his name once, and it seems like a lot of the guys like him. So it's just one of those things that it just
turns out the problem's everybody else.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of problems. And you bring up Moncada. Moncada's hitting the home runs, and he's looking at him like they're go. It's bro, it's your 9th home run of the season. Take a chill pill. I mean, it's again, it's watching these guys play sometimes. And like I say, I always have it on while I'm live because there's nothing else on, and I just like to have a game on, whatever. Literally, when the playoffs roll on, I'll probably have that shit. I try to have football on. There's times there's other games on. I'm just like, well, I'll have whatever. But I mean, it's like watching these guys play, and it's like seeing like the pitching staff do what they do, and like we talked about before we started recording. This bullpen is just going out there and punting these games, it seems, and they're just giving these guys games where it's just like they obviously don't care. And it's like I don't know who half these dudes are, and I get it, they traded everybody, but it's like who is coming back next year? And, you know, we'll talk about it in a second. Chris Getz made some hirings and everything, but I just don't even know. So, how do you guys feel about just everything like going on and before we get to the coaches and everything? Deech, how you feeling? Like just everything.
I just to give in my 2 cents on the Clevenger thing. It's honestly comical how ridiculous people. He is one of the few free agent pitchers that actually wants to come play for the Chicago.
That's true.
Honest. How easy is it honestly going to be for Chris Getz to come to this ball club that ran around acting like we had won the World Series prior to ever winning a series in the playoffs?
Ever.
Now we've completely crumbled and are going to continue to sell pieces off because it's the only route they can actually go to turn this around. What pitcher is going to want to come here? I mean, Jose Urias, because he probably can't go anywhere. I mean, you're going to get options that fans probably won't like because they're probably disliked around the league, but we have to bottom feed and pick from them. So it is what it is.
I keep someone joked that like Blake Snell is finally going to be the pitcher that they like buck up for and pay for and give him some big deal, and he'll just regress to the mean because he's got a really bad, like it's like 5. His walks per 9 is really bad or something, but the rest of his stats, obviously he's the front runner for the NL Cy Young. But when you look at some of the numbers, it would feel like he's due for a regression. But they do need a left-handed starter, so.
I mean, honestly, it'd be such a White Sox thing to do. And like I was talking about like Chicago things. It would be such a Chicago thing after the way we were talking about other Chicago sports, the way Chicago Bears would play to go out and randomly have a decent game against the Chiefs. And it's just one of those things like I don't know. That's the thing. Like he wants to be here. Back to Clevenger real quick. And it's just like, they have to have somebody, and the fact that was that the thing with Blake Snell where it was like 5 years, $900 million or some shit.
I saw like someone say like 3 and 99, and
that's what it was. It was 3 and 99. I'm like, yep, gotta love it.
That would be such the perfect fuck you if they make a big signing like that and still stay without giving the 9-figure contract.
Oh my god! It would be such a thing for them to do, for them to go out there and just do that, and they love to do that because they just don't even care. And it just like we have no idea. Like that's the thing. Like I was talking about, like we were talking yesterday or a couple of days ago in the group chat. Like I really hope that things get better, but it's just I was like, I really hope that he's just waiting till the end of the year for things to like change. But it's like getting through this year is just like like, I guess if we get through this year, I don't even want to say it can get worse because we said that last year and it got way worse. So, I mean, it's one of those things that I just hope that things get better in the offseason. But until things are actually done, I don't know what else to say. And the product they have on the field is absolute trash. That if they bring these guys back, it's just nobody's going to like it. I don't know. Makes me mad. But as you've said, Justin, like I'm so checked out too, or I'm so focused on like football and everything like that. Like, it just doesn't even bother me anymore because it's just like, why am I going to continue to care until I actually see some type of like progress or something? Because obviously they don't care what we have to say if they're not going to listen. So I don't know. But yeah, so you got to love it. But speaking of other pitchers, we did see Garrett Crochet get removed, and he is now apparently back on the roster. I didn't even watch the game yesterday, so I don't think he pitched, but I'm sure we might see him this weekend and everything. And do you guys think it was a good decision to just bring him back for 9 games? I'll ask you that, Justin, first. Like, what do you think about Garrett Crochet come back for 9 games?
Garrett Crochet to me is he's good, but like with him, I can't get past that he came up and threw 102 miles an hour and now hits 97. And I've talked about this on here. I talk about this any chance I get. And it's just not no one talks about it. It's like they just pretend that this dude wasn't throwing 102 past everybody. Leaves that Oakland playoff game hurt. They're like, he's fine. He'll be ready for spring training, which I think was just because they were counting on him for 21 and they didn't want to have to go make a supplementary move to, if he did need surgery or recovery or whatever the hell it was. And then he's just throwing 97. I don't even know. I can't even get past that with Crochet. And that's 3 years ago.
That feels like a lifetime ago, doesn't it? Shit, 2021 feels like it was like 5 years ago. I was like, that was only like 2 years ago. Like that was like, bro.
He was such a cheat code though in MLB that year because they topped him off at 103. So you would just like paint gas with this lefty who has like a ridiculous just wind up in general. So
that's what it was. I remember this game in 2020, maybe in Cincinnati. They definitely went there for a series because I remember Nomar Mazara taking Trevor Bauer deep. And
that wasn't the Dylan Cease game weekend or whatever where he had 2 hits or whatever.
That was in 21. I'm talking the shortened season, 2020 with Crochet when he was a cheat code.
That's right. Okay.
Just came in and he just threw 102 and it was like come and hit it and nobody could. And like that's just gone.
Yeah. And and it's big when you like for the people that don't pay attention or don't watch a lot of baseball, or if you're just hanging out because you love Tino, losing 5 miles on your pitch is a lot. Like, it may not sound like a lot, but that's like a lot. So just because there might not be people in here that really pay attention to baseball as much. So just but keep going.
But no, I probably not worth it to bring him back for this. Clearly there's arm issues. Or whatever the hell he was out with this past time. I would just let him be. And it's just, he's one of the many guys on a long list of people where I really don't know what they can count on him for moving forward. We're going into what will be his 4th professional season. Obviously, it is what it is. To count 2020 is whatever. I mean, when you're drafted that year and you're up immediately, you're thrown right to the wolves. But his 4th professional year, and he hasn't even consumed enough innings cumulatively to match what would be needed to be a starter in the major leagues for a season, which is what he still seems to think he's going to be, and that's fine. I mean, he still has a good arm. He was good in 2021. This isn't me saying he can't pitch, but he's one of the biggest mysteries that they have, to me at least. I really don't know what he's going to be for them.
I think this whole team's full of mysteries.
They are.
We really don't know. Like, besides like Benintendi, Robert, we don't know what the hell. I don't know who. We still don't know what's going on in right field. Moncada, please go away. I've been trying to sell this man's jersey. I finally found somebody, and then he stopped answering. I was hoping after Moncada hit a couple of home runs and somebody come call him, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
Anderson, who knows? Elvis, I don't know. I mean, maybe Lennon Sosa. We've talked about this too when we had Elijah and everything on the show and everything like that. And Vaughn at first base, but it just like I don't know. And Eloy, Eloy, big baby, go. You need to like just do something with him. Like I don't even know, because watching these guys just hit ground balls and watching these guys like again, the fact that we still cannot hit the ball with runners in scoring position or nobody out and bases loaded, like, drives me absolutely insane. Like, can we just have somebody that please hits a ball in the air that we get at least one run? Like, how many times in like the last at least 5 years have we had guys on that? I would love to know that stat from since like 2019. What is the record? What is the stat of bases loaded, nobody out? I bet you it's like one of the worst ever, because I've never seen a team. And it's like when you watch these other teams, they just make it look so easy. Like watching the Orioles play the Astros and that walk-off and like the electricity that just like it's insane to watch like a team like that. And it's like Gunnar. So a guy named Gunnar is hitting a home run. It's just like you don't need like I said, I was mentioning a few weeks ago, I'd rather have John Doe that comes in and hits a couple base hits, because it doesn't matter. He's doing the job.
I've said it. I've said it. I've probably said it on every show this year. The Orioles have goddamn ball players.
Yeah.
The White Sox don't. The Orioles have guys who who are good in the things that you can measure and probably even better in the things that you can't. In the
and they
Sox,
find
you
these
have
guys
you got a grown-ass child in Eloy Jimenez. You have the most checked-out professional athlete I've ever had to endure watching in Yohan
oh my
Moncada.
God, man. Have you
You
have you seen
him,
clips of this man just walking away? Like it's awful.
I don't need to see clips, Tino. I've watched it happen for six years.
True.
Every strikeout, and he's just walking back to the dugout. Like, wow, I can't believe that he threw me that 2-strike pitch right down the middle. I just stood there and looked at it.
He looks confused.
Time to go make another music video.
What if? What if? Like
I was another one this winter.
I did an episode earlier about like a bunch of the stuff going on in the WWE, and I was like, what if like these guys like started like if they didn't want to do wrestling anymore? What if they just wanted like because a few of them are like musicians. I'm like, what if they want to be musicians and they don't go back to like WWE? What if Moncada doesn't want to be a baseball player and he wants to be like a music video, like Love Island type of a stuff? I could totally see it.
I think he'll wait to cash in that 25 mil next season, and then he might make that decision.
Well, I mean, very true. I mean, shit, I'd wait too until I made that. I mean, hey, you can do a lot with that.
That next video is going to have Oscar Colas featured in it.
You already know it's gonna be featuring OC. You already know, and it just.
They say he's going to go play winter ball across seas. It's actually just filming music videos with Yohan in the off season to work on this. I mean, it's just like it's hard because these people are human, but I mean,
they are, but
money and
they're humans who are making a lot of money to underperform, though.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like you're getting paid to do a job to where, like, you know, like you're supposed to go out there, and it's like that's the thing where it's like, you know, I get like they're human beings and they're people and they're just like us and everything. But if like I'm getting paid $30 million by whoever or whatever to do my job, I'm gonna do my job, work my ass off to make sure the job gets done. And to make sure that the product, whatever I'm doing, is great and it's what they want because that's what they're paying me to do. Not just looking lost and confused and watching these balls get hit down the middle. And we've seen potential, but when we see it, it's when we're losing 100 games. Or they made a stat. They said Eloy has hit 15 home runs when the Sox are losing. I'm like, well, that's great. How does that help us? It's like these guys just don't.
Total.
How
many has he hit total?
Like, no, I'm like saying like in his like,
okay.
Like, I don't know if it was like a total of 15, but it was like a double-digit number that he's hit in his career in like I forgot what it was, something that they were talking about on one of the podcasts.
Meaningless homer, the Todd Frazier, I like to call it.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things that it just like, you know, and like watching like the ground balls, like I mentioned with the bases loaded, like I can't mention how many times this man's up and we think he's just going to get under it. And he just hits a ground ball, and then we see his little jog to first base, and then he stops real slow because he's trying not to tear something. And it's just like, oh my. And again, Eloy might be great somewhere else, but that's fine. Let them go be great somewhere else. I don't want to deal with it anymore. And I love them. Like it hurts me to say these things because I put so much like money and things and Sox Fest and tickets and whatever into it, but what is it now? What like I can't deal with it. And again, the emotional value again, like we could like again we talk about all the guys that have been traded. I honestly haven't heard anybody's name besides Jake Berger, and like, I don't think Jake Berger should have been traded, but that's a whole different, you know, whatever.
Well, I'm curious to see down the road here is like people still celebrate the '83 team. I mean, they talk about it like that team won 162.
Didn't they just celebrate it on Sunday?
They just celebrated. You know, you got the anniversary. '93 is the same way.
That's right.
2021, same deal. They won the division, same as those teams. That team, 20 years, they're not going to be celebrated because everyone hates all those guys that were on the team because they all stuck around and stunk it up the next couple of years. It's sad, but it's true. You're gonna like. It
is.
They're not going to have a day honoring. Oh man, 15 years ago, you know, the 2021 division.
I mean,
champs.
the only guy on that team that's going to get any type of anything is Jose Abreu.
Yeah, deservedly. I mean, but yeah.
You know, and that's a whole different thing. But I'm just saying, like, out of like everybody on like these teams, like Abreu's going to be the only one that we like. Probably Robert, depending on what Robert continues to do, because you know whatever. But like Abreu's like that one that we're gonna
Right.
And it's
but
just
even Robert was hurt for most of 2021.
Well, exactly. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. And it's like this year was his first, and this is what we see what he can do when he plays a full year. And it just I don't know. It makes me sad and depressed because I was hoping that we were going to be talking about playoffs right now. But
Well, my big issue too is I see people constantly on Twitter shitting on like Gavin Sheets or someone who's just like a role player that's just you can tell Gavin Sheets probably is putting in more work than half of these fucking guys between going to the cages and trying to like prepare for games. He may not be as like just I'm naturally talented as them, but like that's my issue. It has nothing to do like the money plays a part in it. Gavin Sheets is probably getting paid like a minimal contract while you have Eloy who every year you could feel bad for him, but it just got to the point where it was like, I don't feel bad for you because you're proactively doing something to initially cause some of these injuries. Like you can't just keep riding this excuse of he's injury prone. It's like, no, I mean, Frank Thomas called it out earlier this year and straight up said the injuries that he's consistently getting over and over again are because he's not sitting and stretching and having a good, solid, like pregame workout routine. So it's like you're just lazy and that's causing your injuries, but we're all supposed to feel there's just nothing to feel bad about anymore.
Well, and that's the thing where it's just like if these guys put in the work, like imagine if he would put in the work and like right now my neck hurts. Like I feel like I need to start stretching more because maybe I'm like a little out of shape, whatever. But it's like these guys getting paid to do all this and that, and it's like he's sitting at home doing whatever. Like we've seen like Mr. Luis Robert dancing with flipping dominoes or whatever, and it's like. So you'd rather eat dominoes and dance than go and work out. Where like we see these guys going like I always bring up Tom Brady. The fact that this man had a countdown in his house to when the next Super Bowl was ridiculous. Like on to the next. And it's one of those things that you got to have that motivation where you win one, but you want the next one. And it's like these guys don't have that motivation anymore. They just want the money and the fame and they think it's going to just come. It's like you got to go out there and perform and do what you want because we will get behind you. But you got to go out there and do your job and do what you're supposed to go and get paid for. There's no reason to get, I mean, it just like it just doesn't make sense that these guys go out there and they just seem to do not care. And it's just like Eloy might be a great person. I'm not saying that he's not, but he's not the type of baseball player that you want to have where he's just going to be half-assing it, where let him go somewhere else and do that because, it just like we see these guys that put in work and like the Orioles, like all those guys, like I can't imagine how that like clubhouse is and that like I'm sure they go out and they do. And it's just like that's what it's supposed to be. Like we talk about family. I'm sure like that, and it's not a family. It's like a cult. It's like we're like living in a goddamn cult. I swear. And it's just like it's like
built team.
A clown show. Literally.
All of those young and upcoming teams, though, also don't have a GM who's running around like a fucking asshole.
I know there's more problems than that. I'm just saying.
I mean, Rick Hahn promised that these guys would like give everyone such high expectations with these guys. And the fact that like none of them have really, I mean, even Robert this year has had a very good year, but like, and you kind of need to see how he does next year. Is this something where it's like, I'm going to,
of course, yes.
Or am I going to regress before I full blown buy into like, he is him or whatever?
You got to see it. Yeah. Next year. He's got to just repeat it.
Just like Yohan had a really good 2019, had a solid 2021. But I mean, it's the same shit over and over again with him. Eloy just can't stay. I don't even know what it is. And you want to know what? He's been playing a shit ton of games because they finally told his ass and grew some balls. And we're like, no, you're we're not playing.
They probably did. Damn well they did. Because
when was the last time he played the outfield? It was the last time he got hurt. And then after that, they were like, no, he's just going to DH for now. And they have not let that motherfucker walk out there since. Like,
I mean, good. And that's what it needs to be. It just like, and it just,
yeah, but 2 years ago, like it should have been this like dick around game where it's like,
what it should have been. What was it? I think it was like, well, he's been hurt like 60 times, but I think it was like versus the Blue Jays or it was like versus one of those teams. I remember him getting hurt. I remember working and I'm sitting there. I'm like, damn, Eloy's going to be out like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, well, this sucks. I forget. I think this was
he should have never played the outfield again after that game against Milwaukee in 2020 when he fell into the net and like rolled around and it was an
I think that's
he should have never played the outfield again after that. I mean,
I forget, but yeah,
he
it was
didn't
one
even
of those
hurt
plays.
himself. It was just the worst defensive play I've ever seen in baseball history.
He's
that
like
should have been that.
He's like the giant baby from Toy Story,
Yeah.
trying to play like baseball, like the outfit, like he's like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like, come on.
He couldn't
like,
DH that year though, because we couldn't take ABs away from Edwin Encarnacion, of course.
Who?
Edwin Encarnacion. He played
right.
60 games for the White Sox, plus 3 playoff games, or how many games he played in that season.
Like, I low-key forgot, but that's right. We had
the parrot, baby. He had like 10 dongs, didn't he?
He did. I just forgot. I forgot he was on that team.
Five years.
Right.
Yeah, I was sitting here thinking, ever since I said that he should have never played outfield again, I thought for like 20 seconds, who the hell was it? DH on that team. And I was like, oh yeah.
We talk about guys that have been on the team, and winning Garcion is just. If we wouldn't have had Nelson Cruz too, Kenny would have just been loving life.
We'll have Salvador Perez this winter. I mean, if they do that, if they really do that.
I'm going to have to do an emergency podcast on that, because that's what I'm going to have to be doing during the offseason. Any breaking news, I'll be like, well, got to come here. And
I'm going to have to drink bleach.
Oh, I don't see. I can't do all that.
That's what pisses me off about fans too now is like, so we're thinking going into the offseason, like, ooh, who should our targets be to like fill in for the outfield? And I keep seeing Jock Peterson and Adam Ball's names thrown out like there's some fucking trophy to go.
We've been talking about those guys since the.
I was going to say I wanted Jock Peterson like 8 different times. I just don't think it's going to happen anymore.
Well,
is he even having a good year?
I don't think it's anything spectacular.
No, isn't he?
Certainly would be better than whatever the hell we got out of right field this year. Let me look.
Yeah, but stop setting our expectations so low. Like people should be thriving for like,
I can only base my expectations based around what they've given me to base.
Yeah, then
I'm going off of them.
Jock Peterson, we'd find some asshole who's like, we'd probably bring Victor Reyes up next year to fucking play right field. Like,
I was on the Tigers though. He used to whoop our butt.
Victor Reyes, like 20 home runs in AAA, where it's just like, and we're fucking running out Trace Thompson, Clay Thompson, like shitty ass brother. Like, come on.
He's got a 780 OPS with 14 dongs. I mean, I would take it.
I mean that's better than Oscar. Shit, at least they can get it over the fence. Oscar looking at it go woohoo. It's a disaster. It irritates me.
Mental error, like physically, you're a mental error. Like,
and again, like he has an arm. I give him that. He can definitely throw to second base, but like, I just don't know. And again, he can go to AAA and hit home runs all day, but he can't figure out that MLB pitching. And they say it's completely different than minors. And it's like some of these guys, I don't think they realize that. Like you gotta it's completely different. Like these guys go from, what are they throwing the minors? What, like 80, like low 90s, right?
Yeah, I mean the velocity is different. The way they mix their stuff is different. The break on the pitches is different. I mean it's the biggest. It's the biggest climb from AAA to Major League. You're right. A lot of people can't really grasp how much of a difference it is.
Yeah. Well, other than all of the players, there was apparently, I want to get to the coaching, because there was apparently some coaching moves made this past week. As Bob Nightingale, it was one day ago. We have Josh Barfield leaving the Diamondbacks, Brian Bannister leaving the Giants, and he just, of course, had to throw it in there, Gene Watson leaving the Royals. We can't just, why do we got to keep hiring? Bro, I'm just going to buy a Chicago Royals jersey at this point, because
at least one of those other two guys have KC connections too, I think, is how Getz knows one of the other two. But I could be wrong. I think I saw this.
So out of those 3 names that I just hired and everything like that, what do you guys think about the new hires? Do you guys think it's going to make any type of a difference or anything like that?
You start, Deech. You've definitely done more homework than I have. If you've done any at all.
I mean, just even the overall on Twitter, I mean, there were just the people who are miserable, like they choose to be miserable. So they, of course, had to chime in and be like, oh, Kansas City guy, and just like, bitch, or okay, no matter what they do, you're going to be pissed off. So why don't you just not watch anymore? But, I mean, even like James Fox is a big name. He was very pleased with specifically the San Francisco guy. I mean, he's going to come in and he's not necessarily a coach. I mean, he's the
No, these are front office people.
Well,
Right?
yeah, front office and coaching was
So I mean,
not coaching.
If Ethan Katz keeps his job, now Ethan Katz has someone to fucking answer to, as opposed to just Rick Hahn barking orders at whoever I mean, they're actually structuring like a normal Major League Ball club.
Normal. It's so sick.
Because that literally did not exist prior to that, because we just needed the two-headed monster of Hahn and Kenny who just thought they could do it all. I mean,
it's a good point.
It's not like the San Francisco fans. I actually saw tweets where people were pissed off that he's leaving San Francisco. So to me, that at least is a sign of like, okay, that's pretty. And I believe the guy from the Diamondbacks, people were not pleased about either, just because he's been around to build this whole minor league core that's now
killing it,
flourishing in the majors. So I think he's
basically what Jerry Reinsdorf thinks Chris Getz is what this guy actually is.
Much. I mean, he's surrounding himself with. It's better than him just being like, what's the guy's name from Texas that everyone thought immediately was on his name.
I forgot. I know who you're talking
Their
about.
GM?
Yeah, the one dude that they said they were going to bring over from that was on KC when they were winning the World Series or whatever. I forgot.
I said his name last night too. I was making fun of the.
Not Daryl Morey, not that guy.
Dayton Moore, that was who it is.
Yeah, Dayton Moore. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. It's not like, because everyone immediately after Getz was hired, they're like, oh, now we're just going to get Dayton Moore over him, and it's just going to be these two idiots. I mean, he went out and secretly sat and hired people. I mean, I'll give him this. I think Rick Hahn was a disadvantage to himself because he wanted everything to be public. And then when he didn't get the right reaction, he would get all pissed off about it. Whereas Getz, it's like no one even knew he was interviewing people. I mean, they said he might start interviewing in the offseason. So for him to have already made 3 moves, I mean, you got to it can't be, I don't know. It's hard to just sit and knock it. I mean, I get the one guy's from Kansas City, but apparently, I mean, even reading up on him, people were saying he was one of the brighter minds that they have in the Kansas City front office. So, I mean,
yeah, but that's, you've made a lot of really solid points. You've sold me on being more optimistic when you talk about how this type of thing literally didn't exist for them before. It's sad that it's at a point where doing anything is a step in the right direction, but you are definitely right. It's hard to just be like it won't work, but they sang the praises of Pedro last offseason, and they were so happy to get somebody outside of the organization, and he's even dumber than the guys that we had here before him.
Oh my God! I don't know if you guys saw, but this man literally, we were winning. Okay, well, we barely win, but we were winning one of the games, and this man decides to bring in flipping one of the rookie guys instead of bringing in somebody else that pitches every other day or whatever.
Brian Shaw.
Yeah, he really does. Every day for Brian Shaw. It's so bad. That poor guy.
That's why I was happy when they signed him in the offseason, because I was like, he's got a rubber arm. Like, they need a guy like that because all their guys are always hurt.
It's coming into fruition, and it's just like the decisions that he makes sometimes just don't make any sense. Or like in the 9th inning, I think we were probably losing or whatever, and he hit 3 guys in a row. What are we doing? Like, it doesn't make any sense if we're losing by like 5. It's not like we're getting anything going, and it just doesn't make any sense.
He's preparing to kick their ass every night.
Oh my God!
I think it's pretty obvious what he's doing.
The conversation that me and you had on that podcast last year, like engraved into my brain. It irritates me because it just like we thought last year was bad, and it just like this year was even worse. And it just like you said, like us getting hyped up about Pedro and me and Deech before like we started talking about doing like the podcast and everything. Like we were talking it just completely just went all downhill. And like you said in the first ever comment, I think it was, we always have that night in Houston, and it's just so funny because that's all that was like when it was all good. I remember people were like 162-0, and then we lost 2 in a row, and everybody was like 1-1. I'm just like, oh my God.
I don't think that I've felt that on top of the world between that moment in Houston, that night in Houston, with the whole season, the whole summer ahead of us. The boys are feeling good. And I don't even think that I came close to touching that again until that Mizzou went on Saturday that we talked about before we went on air. The entire summer was just misery in the sports world.
It really was. I mean, like that's again, that's the thing. It's not like any other Chicago team's that great. So, there's really.
I stopped watching the Pedro Grifal post-game interviews because it my blood pressure. Like,
hey,
dude,
how many more games you got?
I'm like, I stopped watching the games entirely weeks ago, and Deech is like, you know what? I'm drawing the fucking line. I am done watching Pedro Grifal post game.
Dude, I try so hard to just like stay invested, but it's just like it's like painful to sit and listen to. They asked him about Crochet the other day when he got activated, so it must have been yesterday. I caught the clip. And they asked him, is Garrett Crochet, could he be a starter next year? And instead of just flat out being like, no, like he should have been, because there's no fucking reason you could sit and justify. He literally started being like, well, we could sit and like manage his innings and he could be in the rotation to start the year. And it's like, no, that's what we've done the last 3 fucking years with one individual in the rotation. Every year we're managing so-and-so. I mean, they managed what? Rodon's innings. They were managing Kopech's innings.
Oh God, Kopech.
Rodon was at least a lifelong starter, though, not someone they were trying to move from the bullpen. But no, I mean you're right, Deech. I mean, if they can't, and they probably will. If he's in the rotation next year, and they're like, "Well, watch his innings," and they can't seriously simultaneously tell us that they're competing, even for that shit division, because it doesn't work that way.
No.
You don't have starting pitchers on innings limits. That dude, oh my God. That guy in Seattle, was it Kirby? George Kirby, like blaming the manager for leaving him in the game too long. That was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. That was a couple weeks ago now. I know I missed last week's show, but that was crazy because you had so many old timers come out of the woodwork. Like, I would have never told you that Mark Mulder was on Twitter, but here he is coming out to bash him. Roger Clemens bashed him. Like the entire pitching community was against him, which was crazy because you never hear that. You always hear like the pitcher wanted the ball. The pitcher wanted the ball. Like, I always think about Pedro Martinez in the ALCS in 2003 in New York wouldn't come out of the game, and they end up losing Game 7. But like, I'd at least rather have the guy with that mentality. I just want to throw that tidbit in there. That was if like Kopech or anyone in the Sox rotation, I name him specifically because he'd be the one to do it. Was like, I shouldn't have been in the game. I was at 90 pitches. I mean, I'd be out of my mind. In the middle of a playoff race, right? Like,
I mean,
yeah,
and that's the thing. I mean, and that's the thing. Like nowadays with these guys, like back, like if it was Pedro, like he would have out there been like, well, let's go. That's 110 pitches. I don't care. Or Kurt Schilling pitches. I think everybody forgets. I have a lot of like 18-year-olds, people, stuff like that come in here. And they're like, they don't remember like the Kurt Schilling bloody sock and like these things. Like somebody would have been taken out of the game and they would have been like carted off the field and would have been like limping. So.
Kurt Schilling is a Hall of Famer, but we don't have to touch that. We don't have to touch that subject. His legacy has been diminished by people bent on dragging him down for anything off the field. Kurt Schilling was the guy.
He was. Man, I remember like growing up and just watching like Randy Johnson pitch and like these guys go out there and just pitch, and they always beat the crap out of the White Sox, but like watching them pitch sometimes is just like incredible. And it's just like,
yeah, that was why that Clevenger outing the other night, his starts are actually semi-exciting to watch. Like, out of any game you're going to watch, if Robert is starting and Clevenger's pitching, you're probably at least going to see a competitive game as opposed to the rest of I mean, the people we have starting now, it's ridiculous.
It's awful. I looked at the lineup yesterday. I was like, I didn't know they played at noon, so I didn't even. I think I was talking before we started recording. I didn't even realize till like 2:30. I looked and they're losing like 13-3. I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, and then, I think I checked my phone at work. It was like 4-1. What? Like the score notifications.
Oh yeah, you gotta love it. I was just like, oh yeah, well, you gotta love it. I'm like, oh well, I don't even care. And it's like I looked at the Nationals record. Like it's like teams know that the Sox are bad, so they know to play like their best baseball. These teams, like if I swear, if you look at the record of these teams that have played the White Sox, that like when they play them, they score like 30 runs. They got like an ERA of 4, like 2 or 3, 4, depending on how bad they are. You know,
I mean,
they just
they finished with a losing record against the Royals and A's, right? And Colorado for that matter.
and the Nationals because they lost 2 out of 3.
Yeah, but the Nationals, I don't think are as bad as those other 3.
Oh yeah, no. The Nationals
They're
have
another
60
last
wins.
place team. It's I mean, we'll pile on. Do they
I
lose?
mean,
Do they lose a series to every last place team?
I mean, you're absolutely right.
Can we
And I
check
guess
the
we'll get right
numbers?
into that. The last thing I really got on the White Sox is we got 6 games this week versus the Red Sox and the Diamondbacks. Do we win 4 out of 6 and get to 62 wins, or are we losing 100 this year, guys? What do you think, Justin?
Oh, they'll lose 100. Well, what's the situation? They need to win 5 of their last 9 to not lose 100.
They pretty much need to go 4 and 5 to not lose 100.
And I just no, they won't do that.
They got to go 4 and 5 between the Red Sox, the Padres, and the D-backs.
No, because they have 95 losses. So if they lose 5,
that's what I'm saying. 4 and 5, they'd. Oh, so yeah. So
no,
5,
they need to win.
Right.
They need to win more than they lose in the final 9. Okay,
my bad. No, you're right. I was thinking 62 and 100.
That's the only reason I knew that.
Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, so yeah, no, you're right. Never mind. They gotta. You're right.
Not a chance. Win. I just saw San Diego's playing really well recently, right? I mean they're probably toast, but they're not officially toast.
Yeah.
That last weekend, is that here or in San Diego? They got Arizona here this week, right? Next week?
Yeah, it's Arizona and San Diego are both at home. I'm actually going to a game of each series.
Of course you are. I love you.
Okay, well, those are, I mean, they're both, if San Diego keeps playing well, they're both going to be teams that are at least, I don't know. It's hard to say that San Diego will still be there the last week of the season, the last series of the season, because they are still under 500. But you're a maniac for going to those games, but I respect it.
Hey, that's why that's why hopefully when we're good, then we could be like we're still going to game. Like that's what I keep saying. Like I got into an argument with somebody about the Bears and everything. It's like, listen, like I know the Bears suck. I know the Sox suck. I get it. But I'm not going to be switching teams. I'm not going to go root for the Commanders because they're 2-0 or the Falcons and go buy myself a Bijan Robinson jersey. I'm going to sit here, watch the Bears, and pray and hope for the best because that's all I got. And just like the White Sox, I respect people more that stick with their teams to the bad and good than people that flip-flop that just want to root for whoever's good. It's nice to have like a team you want, like the Orioles. Like I'll be rooting for the Orioles, but you don't see me. I ain't going to the Baltimore Orioles parade if they win the World Series. I'll just be like, good job, Orioles, good stuff. Good game, good year. It wasn't the Cubs. And please, Cubs, keep losing because I don't want to see you in the playoffs. It's annoying. I don't want to see that all the Northsiders in there and have to listen to their asses because they're.
I mean, at least it keeps the Chicago baseball. At least it keeps baseball relevant in Chicago. That's the only.
Justin's going to be going to a playoff game, Deech.
I'm not. I don't. They're not going to play home playoff games. Even in Jersey. Justin can't afford playoff tickets at Wrigley.
Oh,
even if I wanted to.
So expensive, it's kind of crazy. So
it's nuts.
But yeah, so what do you think for the next week? Well, just give me like a record that you think they do. 0-6.
It's Boston this weekend at Boston. They're done. They're dead in the water. 3-6 is probably the most accurate. They play Boston well. Maybe they win 2 there, but I have a hard time believing that Arizona comes here fighting for a playoff spot and doesn't just take whatever they want from the White Sox.
I'm excited to actually watch them play. Like I like it's one of those like actually watching teams play the White Sox. It's like getting to know some of these guys because then when the playoffs start, because next Thursday they have an off day. They play the weekend and then the following week the playoffs start. So next week will actually be our last week like with this because as I was talking about before we started recording, we're going to be doing a season in review episode the last like week or whatever that is. So, yeah. But, so Deech, what do you got?
I'll say 3-6. I mean, they they seem to win one game in the series where you're like, okay, we're not really, really bad. But I mean, you've done that all year. I mean, it's insane how many series you've just lost. And the new trend is let's not just lose, let's just get our asses handed to us.
Like, that's the thing. They're not even competitive. They're just awful.
We made the Nationals hitters look like fucking an all-star team yesterday. It was just like every fucking guy up there is just sitting and just like feasting on whatever we're throwing. It's just like, come on.
It's
like,
awful. It's not a good time at all.
And I don't understand the strategy with Kopech. So you had him in the bullpen, then you had him open yesterday, and people still bitched even though he gave up an unearned run, which really wasn't his. We're just mentally messing with a guy who I think is one of those people who can be very mentally influenced by like his thoughts and everything like that. So, I mean, again, what are we doing with the pitching? I mean, throwing like 36-year-old Jose Urena out there because we were able to like pick him up off a waiver. I just don't. If they walk out with the same rotation next year, I will be aggressively angry. Like, it's
what would the same rotation even be at this point? Are you including this Urias cat in that when you say that?
Yes, I'm saying if Jesse Schulten's Urena,
Urania, I keep calling him Urias. I'm getting him confused with
Urias.
I mean, Tuki Toussaint, if you really needed a fifth starter, I guess I would really keep him more as depth and just have him throw like long relief. Yeah. If you're gonna
even the dude that you just named, because I can't say his name no matter how hard I try, he could be a fifth starter. I mean, again, like that's the thing. It's like you need to go out there and get like guys that like, because like again, what are we gonna do to go out there with like Kopech and Cease as the number 1 and 2? And I just don't think that's not good. But again, as we've talked about too, the free agents next year isn't like the greatest. It's like Montgomery and a couple other guys. I forget who they are.
I mean, if they run out Crochet as a starter next year and be like, oh, we got a lefty in the rotation now, it's like, come the fuck on. How long is this going to last? Like, let's just be honest with this. You're asking for his arm to get blown out. If you're going to go from I've pitched like 20 innings in the last like year to I'm now going to just start games. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell what the direction of this team is. I mean, Chris Getz, God bless you you've taken on quite the task to sit and fix this. I mean, and
if he turns it around, man, we will all love him. And if he can turn this thing around, and hopefully next year we're all having a good time and we're partying at this time, because that's the hope. Because that's all we can do is hope for that. Hopes that it gets better in the offseason. So really not too much to talk about with this baseball team. So I'm just going to go through the chat real quick and then we can go, because I know you guys got other things to do. And yeah. So we got some NFL news breaking. Trayvon Diggs tore his ACL at practice, a one-on-one scrimmage. Apparently tore his ACL, so he is out for the year. Big loss for the Cowboys defense. Are you guys watching the Thursday night game tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody got anybody playing that's not hurt like me?
I got to check. I thought I had somebody playing tonight, but I don't even remember.
It would have been Saquon, but no. Yeah. I'm up against CMC, so that's a little bit stressful.
Oh, that's very stressful.
Touches the ball on every play, pretty much.
It doesn't matter. I got Brock and Debo in 2 different leagues, so we'll see how that goes, but I don't know. Jadis says, no. Jadis, I hope you're talking about those wrestling things and not talking about me. Yeah, he is. He says Dana Brooke. We got some other wrestling. Yes, guys, there was a big bunch of wrestling news, and I'm not going to do a full episode on it because there wasn't really too many big names. I'm going to do a short on it, though. After this episode, I'll release it around like 7 o'clock. But we're not going to do an episode because there wasn't really too many big names, nothing major. And like I said earlier, guys, it wasn't Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes, Tiffany Stratton, Becky Lynch, etc., etc. Leo's having himself a day. Leo's going to be okay. You mean a Thai bear? So did you guys happen to see my short on my story or on my YouTube on the channel?
I have not yet.
So I played Madden last week. I started playing Madden on Saturdays and everything, and I'm in like the franchise mode, and I did the Bears and Chiefs. I end up tying it. It goes into overtime. They ice me, and instead of it being able to like give me some type of something, I literally press the thing to kick the ball. The thing disappears, the camera goes sideways, and the ball goes this way. I've never been just so sad in my life. So that's my prediction for the Bears and Chiefs. It's going to end in a tie. Of course he did. Of course he did. Oh, I gotta love Leo. Leo's back, guys, I guess. Oh, as I said, see, Jadis only here because he likes me. He doesn't care about baseball. But, listen. I'm just trying. If Moncada plays better, that means that I sell my jersey because people like Moncada for a day. So if Moncada wants to go on a 10-game hitting streak, give me the jersey sales. I don't care. I'm tired of looking at it. It irritates me. We got Armchair Fantasy Corey, Armchair Athletes in the house. What's up, Corey? Thanks for stopping by. Unfortunately, yes, we know the Chicago White Sox are not making the playoffs. I know.
We've known.
Official?
Thank you. I know. We've known since what? April?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, we lost what? Like,
hello.
I've known since the Giants kicked
whoa,
their ass.
Whoa.
That
Scott, that's not nice. Why you call me a werewolf, bro? Because I haven't shaved? That's not nice. You just called me a werewolf. That was good. Oh, we got love. Tino's time making love connections. Hey, now we got Erica Erica in the house. What's up, Erica? We got Jonathan. What's up, Jonathan? SmackDown is on tonight, guys. And if you guys have not heard, go check out the episode we did earlier about the releases. The SmackDown moving over back to USA. Raw and NXT moving away from USA and going to NBCU. A lot of shenanigans going down. I'm starting Houston Texans podcast. I don't know if I want to talk about
that. Might be more depressing than this one.
I mean, I was gonna say the Houston Texans. I don't know. I mean, I will say CJ Stroud hasn't looked like awful. Bryce Young is out this week, so it's like these rookies. I don't know, man.
A lot of faith in Ohio State quarterbacks in this city right now.
Oh, gotta love it. Please for me.
The Chicago Dogs, like Rosemont baseball team.
Oh my God. Don't even get me started because my uncle and my cousin, they literally go to the games all the time and they send me pictures. And I have a few other friends. And they're like, hey, look, this team's better than the White Sox. I'm like, listen, I know.
Hey, it's a beautiful park, man. I worked there
it's
as
so
an
nice,
intern a few summers ago, and
they have good deals.
Longer ago than I care to admit now, but
yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, me and my uncle and my cousin have won a few times. They kind of like remind me over by me. I don't know if you guys have ever heard about the Thunderbolts or like the Cheetahs. Remember
sure.
that? So that's kind of like what it is over by us. We used to go to those games. Those games are fun because they do like different things. They have stuff going around the stadium. I ended up going in like on the field for one of them and did one of those like run around the bases, but we were in like the sack. So we had to like three people in the sack. I ended up tripping and costing.
That was pretty much my job. Was recruiting fans to do those like on the field stuff in between innings and everything. I mean, I met some characters, met some local celebs, and it was cool.
I mean, hey, that's what it's all about. You never know.
The Dogs.
You never know who you're gonna see there. I mean, that's why I always say I'm just like, you never know who's watching and everything. So yeah. Jadis, we know. Yeah, 100 games at this point, I don't even care. Jadis, shut up. Hey, if I do the first pitch out at the White Sox game, that'd be pretty goddamn cool. I don't even care what the record is. Give me the last game of the season, 40 and 120. I'll still throw it. I don't even care. First pitch, bro. What would you guys do if you had an opportunity to throw out the first pitch? That'd be cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. The last game I went to was the Pauly D one, and it was fucking embarrassing that there were more people like cheering for Pauly D when he threw out the first pitch than fucking like fans at the game. Like,
listen, I love Pauly D. I love Jersey Shore. I'm that guy that watches it. I've been watching it since I was a junior in high school. So man, I would have loved to go to that thing, but seeing the people at the event and seeing them like jump up, like how like they do it all, like his stuff and everything and whatever, and then like watching the game and see, it's just like it's so funny the fact that people really went to the stadium just to see Pauly D. When
I'm actually pissed. I saw a video of Vanilla Ice because he performed after a Tampa Bay Rays game as well. So the same performance that was going to be at the game I was at, where someone decided to like shoot other people and themselves.
You mean the stray bullet from outside the stadium?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
Definitely not snuck in underbelly fat.
Yeah.
I still can't get over it. I can't.
Performance was actually pretty cool. Like he like really went all out for it, where I was like, fuck that. I couldn't even have that this season. Like you couldn't even just fucking give me this little, Vanilla Ice concert. We suck, but like, hey, we're at least doing this. It was like, nope, someone needs to decide to shoot like themselves. I just can't get
Mexico Burres, baby.
It just doesn't get any better. And I haven't even talked about the Chicago football team. They're just another disaster on another level that I don't even talk about. Like that's why I said, like, everybody's like, why aren't you upset this? I'm like, I had no expectations for this year. I don't like, what am I supposed to do? Like the way the White Sox have been, like that was my biggest thing. I'm not going into the season with expectations. Whatever happens, happens. And they're 0-2, and I just don't care. I'm more upset I'm 0-2 in my fantasy league than anything because people just can't stay healthy and everything. So, I don't know. But, guys, we're done here today. We only got 2 more episodes left until the playoffs and until the Southside Boys are done until next year, because we don't have to talk about the White Sox no more, because unless some major happens, I don't want to talk about these guys till March.
Yeah, their big offseason splash of Salvi Perez.
I hope so, because that gives us stuff to talk about and get at least like do a couple extra videos here and there during the offseason. But
I hope not, because I'm tired of watching old out of shape catchers.
Very
personally,
true.
I've had enough of that.
That's the first thing I want to see. I want to see Yasmani Grandal released. We've been seeing all these wrestling releases,
up, right? This is it. This has been 4 years already. Holy.
Yeah. Fine. Yeah. So my last question to you guys is, what is your score prediction for tonight's game?
Do
the Giants have any opportunity without Saquon and whoever?
Oh, hell no. Niners 27-10, 27-14 maybe. I always get caught giving the Giants too much love when I'm placing wagers, but we're trying to.
Justin's a wager guy. I see.
I'm a Giants supporter, despite not being a Daniel Jones believer. But the Niners will take it tonight easy.
Deech, what do you got? They should
24-6.
Yeah, he said they don't even get a field goal. And I will say this. For people that want to start Matt Breida in fantasy, be very careful, because it's Thursday. It is the Niners. And just because what's-his-face went out there, Kyrie Williams, and the Rams decided to learn how to play football against them, doesn't mean that the Giants are going to do that. So unless you're in a deeper league and you're really out of running backs, I really would not start Matt Breida.
I picked him up. I'm not playing him.
That's what I did. I picked him up in one of my leagues just so nobody could have him. At least if he scores on my bench, because it is what it is. So, yeah, but that's all I got here for you guys today. Another great episode after a shitty season, but it's been fun hanging out with you guys every week. Definitely make these baseball shows more fun. So, guys, we'll be back here next Thursday at 5 o'clock for another episode to get ready and talk about this week's games, to talk about the last series of the season and everything else like that. And then the following week, we'll be here for the last episode of the season of the Southside Boys before I do the playoffs and see if we get these two back for the playoffs. But we will be here for a season in review episode. Hopefully have a few guests and everything else like that. But also remember to go check out, if you need any more fantasy football advice, we did an episode a few days ago. We had Bo and apparently Tino's daddy on the show, because Botkins is my daddy because he owns all of my sports teams, apparently. I don't know. But go check that episode out. We also have a couple shorts out there. We have the My GM series and everything. So there's a lot of things you guys can go and watch. We will not be here live tonight for anything. I'm going to go watch Thursday Night Football and watch some Big Brother, because that's what I like to do. So, guys, we'll be back here tomorrow night for Friday Night SmackDown, as it's the first Friday night with all of everything that's been going on the last few days. We got Rey Mysterio. We will not have The Rock. I just wanted to add him in the thumbnail because I thought it was cool. It was crazy. Did you guys happen to see that last week with The Rock showing back up in WWE for the first time in like 6 years?
I was not watching, but news did get to me of the occurrence.
So, man, I just love The Rock. Those Attitude Era feelings just came all the way back, and that's what it's all about. So, Guys, that's all I got here for you. Remember to go follow all the social medias, all that good stuff. Become a member, leave a super chat. Go get yourself some merchandise on bonfire.com/Tino's Tom. But if you can't do any of that, I completely understand. But I need you to do these last three things. Hit that like button so it helps the algorithm get our episode in a popular videos. So the White Sox, whatever, the hashtags will show up for all the baseball fans. Get that in there. Subscribe, as we're only 47 subscribers away to 1,300 here on Tino's Time. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you have not yet. And lastly, guys, turn that notification button on so you know when all these episodes go live, new episodes, shorts, and everything else like that. As I said, I'll be making a short about all the NXT releases in about an hour, so look forward to that. But as I said, guys, that's all I got here for you, and I hope you guys all have a great Thursday night. Let's go Deebo Samuel and Brock Purdy, and I will see you guys all tomorrow night for Friday Night SmackDown live on Fox for one of the last few times.